Okay, to get the Raspberry Pi Imager, before we format and do anything else, I want to go to raspberrypi.com/software. So again, that's raspberrypi.com/software right up here. Once I go to that, this /software, this page will pop up. I'm using Ubuntu for x86, but you can also get a copy for Windows or a copy for Mac OS. You can also install it on another Raspberry Pi if you want to by going to the terminal and typing this little bit of code into the terminal, or this command into the terminal window. More than likely you'll be using either Windows or Mac OS. So you click, for instance, if I go to Windows, then I'll have a file that will come down, and that file looks different again because I'm in Linux, but you can then double click on it and execute it and go ahead and install it like you would any other piece of Windows software, and the same for Mac. So the next step we're going to get into is actually formatting our disk. Let's see if this is going to work. Okay, so to get started, I'm going to have my card reader, which mine looks like this, and I've got my micro SD card, which looks like this, and I'm going to plug the micro SD card with the gold or the metal pins facing downwards, and then I'm going to plug this into my computer. And then the next thing I want to do is start my Raspberry Pi Imager. So I'm going to click here, and here's my Pi Imager. First thing I'm going to do is choose device. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to go to Raspberry Pi 5. I'm going to choose the OS, which is Raspberry Pi OS 64-bit. You can do 32, but I prefer 64. And then I'm going to choose the storage, which is this one. By the way, this is my hard drive on my machine, and if you notice, it's not going to let me select that. That's a good thing. You don't want to wipe that out. And so you select the one. In this case, mine's 8 gigabytes. Yours may be 32 or so on and so forth. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to go to Next. And it says, do you want to apply OS customization settings? And I'm going to edit the settings, especially if this is my first time doing this. So I'm going to click here. I have this window pop up. I'm going to set the host name as tech. Again, it can be whatever you want it to be. Just remember what it is. In this case, I've set my username to tech, and I've set my password to password. If you're in a production environment, or you're working with a bunch of high school kids, you may want to be more careful about these two. But if you're in the comfort of your own living room, or in my case, my office, it's easier to remember password. I'm going to configure the wireless LAN, which is important, and we will come back to this to just verify it. But in my case, the SSID is tech, and my password is set, is the one that's set on my router. To get this information, you want to, in your house, go to your internet router, and mine is on the bottom. It's an Aris something 5 gigabyte or 5G. But look for that information, because you'll need to have that going here. Okay? And this SSID in my case is hidden. If it's not hidden, you can uncheck this, or this should pop up, and then you can get some more information. I can scroll down. My wireless LAN country is US. This is a drop-down menu, and there's a lot of countries or areas on this. So US is down towards the very bottom, so I had to be patient and scroll a little bit. America Chicago is my time zone, and my keyboard layout is US. And I can click here just to save that and be sure it's set up correctly. So I'm going to go to Services. I'm going to enable SSH. I'm going to use password authentication if I'm doing SSH to get in. That's all I need there. For options, I've just got everything unchecked here. If you want to have a play sound when finished or eject media when finished, you can set those things. I'm not going to do that. I'll click Save. And then do I want to apply? And I'll say yes. And then it says all the information on that micro SD drive will be erased, and I'll say sure, yes. It's going to ask me, in my case, for a password. Your mileage may vary if you're on Windows or a Mac. So I'm going to type in my password to my computer. That's what this is asking for, is the password to my computer. I'll click Authenticate, and now it's preparing to write. So I'm going to pause here and wait for it to finish, and then we'll go on to the next thing that we need to do. Okay, so now my card has magically finished formatting, and it'll and verified the formatting process. And so now I can click Continue here, and I can exit the program and reach down and unplug my SD card reader, pull the SD card out, and put it into my Raspberry Pi. I'm going to unplug this here. With, again, the gold pins facing towards the board. And now I can plug in my Raspberry Pi with power here, my HDMI output here, and then my mouse and keyboard on one of these USB ports. Once that happens, then I'm going to do some more configuration on it, and I'm going to pause the video here while I start it up and get a screen up on my monitor so that I can show you better what I'm doing on the Pi. So we'll be back with you in just a second. Okay, so now I'm going to show you, once you start up your Pi, you'll see a background or a screen that looks something like this. And there's a couple of things that we need to do to get this going here. The first thing I need to do is make this a little bit bigger, and hopefully it's not all going to disappear on me. Let's do it like that, and I'll come and move it over to the side so you can better see what's going on. The first thing to do is to configure your wireless again. We set a little bit up, but to really do that, what you want to do is go and pick your wireless network off of the list. If it happens to be hidden, you can go to Advanced Options and connect to a hidden wireless network. Once you do that, let me get back here, then you can go in, cancel this, come back here. I'm going to go to Advanced Options, and I'm going to connect to a hidden wireless network. Here I'm going to select the connection would be new, enter the network name. The Wi-Fi security in my case would be WPA, WPA2 personal. That's generally what it is. And then for once you set that, it's going to ask you for a password. you put the password in, and you click connect. Once you do that, you'll see up here in the corner, this thing will go back and forth and think about it for a few minutes, and once it's done, it will give you an IP address. And what you need to do is make note of this IP address, and in my case it's 192.168.230.111. Okay? Once you know what that is, and as you notice I was kind of writing that down, then the next thing you're going to want to do is start up something called a terminal server, or terminal session. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to get the dreaded screen of text where it doesn't look like a thing's going on, but there's just not any clues as to what's going on. And what I want to do is enter a little program called Raspberry Pi config. So I'm going to type in my command here, which is rasp pi -config. I'm going to hit enter. Nope. Oh. First thing I got to do, sudo rasp pi -config. Hit enter, and I get this. By the way, that sudo command, let me run through that one more time. That sudo command means that you're telling the system that you want elevated privileges, so you can make changes to it. It's a kind of a safekeeping thing. So what I'm going to do again is start up a terminal session right here by clicking up here, and I'm going to type in sudo space rasp pi -config. I'm going to hit enter, and then I'll get this screen. And what I want to do here is I really just want to go down to interface options, hit enter, and I want to pick this VNC option here, hit enter, and it says, do you want the VNC server to be enabled? And you'll say yes. I'll hit yes, and my connection will go away for a second. And I'll reconnect here and talk more about a VNC viewer in just a second. Click OK, and now it's been enabled, and I can go back and I can close this session, and now I'm ready to remotely access my Pi from a laptop or from another machine that's on the same wireless network. So let me talk a minute about VNC viewers. I'm going to get out of this for just a second. Now, there are a whole host of VNC viewers. What VNC does is it basically provides you a way to remotely control your device. And the reason that I'm having you all do this is so that when you put your Pi on the little robot thing, you don't have to have a whole bunch of wires tied into it and that kind of thing. So if I open up a browser window over here, let me bring this over, then I can go in and look at VNC viewers. For Windows, let's say. Hit enter, and so I can download VNC Viewer for Windows. Again, you click, and there's a whole bunch of them out there. So you can pick whichever version you would like to use. I'm using Tiger VNC because I found it worked best in this environment. If you want VNC Viewer for Mac, you can select Mac, you can do Linux, and you can do Raspberry Pi. So this is probably a good one to go. Again, I'm using something called Tiger VNC. because of the environment I'm in. So when I start up a VNC session, I've got to know the IP address of the machine that I'm going to. That's why I made a note of that earlier. So I'm going to start up Tiger VNC. And if you notice up here in the corner, I put in the IP address that I made note of earlier for that Raspberry Pi. And I'll click Connect. And it'll say the host name is unknown, does not match. It's a security thing. Again, if you're in the comfort of your own living room, or even really if you're working in a high school or something like that, you can work beyond this unless you've got some real security issues that I'm not aware of. So I'm going to click and say yes here. And then that username and password that I typed in earlier for the machine or for the Raspberry Pi, that's what I've got to put in here. In this case, it's tech, and the password is password. And I'll click OK. And now you can see I've got my desktop going right here. And I've got access to my window here, my terminal window, to do all kinds of fun things that we'll get into in a little bit. And I've also got my Raspberry Pi going up here. And so that's what we've got for right now. I want to leave you with that. See if you can get into this terminal window. As always, let me know your questions, and we will answer them as fast as we can. Thank you for watching, and happy computing.